involved in that. And you might know a little something about educators because many of you are educators as well. We all are as parents. Whatever we're doing, we're educating and setting an example. But when you go into the business of education, you find yourself liking to take tests, to give tests. So guess what you're going to get today? You're going to get a test. Bolt the door. You can't go out. Oh, yeah, we're going to do a test today. And I got to make sure I have 3 things. And if you see I don't have these 3 things, I'm going to ask my friend, Prophet Bev Mitchell there, who came down with me. She works with rape crisis. I'm going to ask her, you know, you're forgetting something you need there. I got to have my glasses so I can see you, okay? I got to have these cards. And if you see I put these cards down and don't pick them up, it's okay to say, get your cards. Because the Lord made me a little bit of both. He made me a teacher, but he made me a preacher. And sometimes when I start teaching, I need my notes. But when I start preaching, I don't need any notes. So make sure, if you want the teacher, make sure I have a card. Because if I put them down, we just gonna preach. All right. The third thing that you need to make sure that I do today, since I'm going to give you a test, is to make sure that I keep my promise. I told you were going to take a test, so don't you try to get away with not taking the test. Hold me accountable. You're going to take a test. All right, let me ask you this. Before we take the test, and this is not a rhetorical question, I want an answer. But I'm going to help you with this test because the answer that I want, I'm going to give it to you. I want this answer when you hear this question, to the highest. You ready? Here's the question. Well, let me tell you, a good teacher always repeats the instructions. I'm going to give you a test. I'm going to ask you a question. The first question, I'm going to give you the answer. It can be repeated whenever you think it's appropriate. But the answer for you is what?
To the highest.
All right. Question 1. Do you believe you're beautiful?
To the highest.
Correct. Do you believe that you have had a great conference today?
To the highest.
All right. Do you believe that it is possible to have uncompromising commitment to the community?
To the highest.
I think we got some advanced students here. Do you believe that you have the power to take a stand, be faithful, and never deviate?
To the highest.
All right. You're in the right place. You're at the right time. You're with the right people. And you passed your first test. But, you know, this pattern in education, do we just test one time? Oh, no. We like to test and test and test.
And get ready to test.
That's right. So you passed that one, but you still can't go anywhere because we're going to test you again. All right. You passed with flying colors. Now, this is what I want you to do. Before we can actually start doing, taking that stand so that we can be faithful and not deviate, one thing we have to do is determine, what are my beliefs and commitments, and what is I just interested in? Now, you can have a lot of interest, right? But you're not necessarily committed to all of them. I'll give you an example. For my daughter, who's 46 now, when she was a little girl, I decided I need to take swimming lessons because she could swim like a fish. So I went up to the YMCA and I signed up for their class on swimming lessons. I was interested. I went to that class, and at first it was okay. And then the teacher said, to pass this class, you got to jump off that diving board into that deep water. Now, until then, we just some things, you know, I thought I was doing okay. But when he said jump off that diving board, I said I need to quit. I'm not gonna kill myself. If you jump off the diving board, it's hard. I mean, I just couldn't swim that well. He kept saying, I'll be here for you. Come on now. He said, when you get down to the bottom, all you have to do is bounce and come right back up. When the first time I was supposed to do it, I said, I can't do it tonight. Let me think about it. I don't feel so good. Got pain. Well, finally I said, I got to do this thing. I signed up for this swimming class. I got to finish it. So I got up there and I took a deep breath. I said, God, take me to glory if I don't finish. I jumped in that water and I hit that bottom and I started bouncing. Oh, the teacher said, just bounce. You'll come back up. I was bouncing and I looked around. I was still at the bottom. And no jumping up was coming. I said, oh, Lord. And suddenly I felt the teacher's arms around me and he pulled me to safety. I got out that water and I didn't get in any more water for about 6 years. Then I started back playing around in water. Now, it's safe to say that, students, that was probably not a commitment of mine. It's probably more of an interest. Because when I went to college at 18 years old at A&T, I had a lot of problems there. It was not easy. I had money problems. I had boyfriend problems. I had broken heart problems. I had a baby problem that turned out to be a blessing. I had death in the family problems. I had grade problems. But you know what? I kept coming back. I went to graduate school and had a lot of problems there. The world didn't stop and say, I'm going to make it easy. But I kept coming back. Went to graduate school again at age 48. Got another degree. Wrecked the car trying to get to class one morning. Had to drive all the way to Chapel Hill for a class in horrible traffic. If you know anything about driving from Raleigh to Chapel Hill at about 5 o'clock. Problems. But I kept going with my education. Why? Because I was committed to get an education. So, I want you, for this test, you have to think about your interest and your commitments. And don't worry, the teacher always helps with the test. I'm going to tell you how you can figure it out. Okay? And I've got a little thing you can remember. It's a little acronym. I'm going to call it PET, P-E-T. To help you figure it out, think about if it's time to do it, do you procrastinate? Do you come up with every excuse in the world to keep from doing that thing that you say is a belief? If so, procrastination is a pretty good indicator. Another way you can help decide whether or not it's an interest or a belief is how much time you put in it. You see, if you're going to put the minimum amount of time, maybe you're taking Spanish class like I did. I bought that expensive program that promises that you can learn Spanish in a few days or whatever. I think I listened to it for about an hour when I first got it, and I noticed that every time I started listening, it went from an hour to 30 minutes to 10 minutes and eventually no time. So Espanol, gracias, and that's pretty much it. So I didn't put a lot of time in it. So think about what you're putting time in. Because when it's a commitment, you are looking for time, more time. You'll get up early, you'll go to bed late. If you could borrow an hour, you would do that so that you can do it. And women, I know what you are already committed to. Your first commitment I'm sure, is to God. And your second commitment, I bet you, is to your family. And I know you're committed to your job, your sorority. So when you look at all of these things that you're involved in, the commitment is the thing that you are not procrastinating to do, that you are putting as much time as possible. And here's the big one. What is it that you're not looking for an excuse to get out of? What are you looking for solutions? Sometimes when I'm working with kids and they come in the office and they got a problem, you know they always have a problem. And you know what? That's life. But they come in, and one reason that keeps certain people constantly in problems is that they lead with their excuses. As soon as they walk in the door, well, she did so and so and so, and he did so and so and so. So they're leading with their excuses. So if you're not doing something that you know you should be doing, but you think it's okay because you got a good excuse, that's an interest. It's not a commitment. When you have a commitment, you are looking for solutions, not excuses. So you can do that thing that you feel God wants you to do. Now, that's a test that you have to take pretty much on your own. Decide what are your interests, decide what are your beliefs. But PET, P-E-T, procrastination, excuses, and the time that you're willing to put in it, you can use that as a guide, and that'll work well for you. All right, now, we're going to do another test. But this test is an essay. You like to write, don't you? Well, you can do some imaginary writing today, and you might want to just continue writing when you get home. You say you think you're beautiful. Let me ask, and you are, but let me ask you this question. Do you think that you are doing everything in your power to stay as beautiful and as healthy as you are or want to be? Now, I'm going to throw one thing out here, and we're not going to go all over a lot of statistics because who remembers statistics? But we're going to just talk about one area, and that is it impacts all women. And here is your question. What is the number one cause of death among women?
I learned that in your breakout session.
Now, Bessie. All right, Ms. Patney, here's your
Heart
question.
attacks.
What is it?
Heart attack.
Heart attack. Heart attack. Oh, my goodness gracious. Heart attack. We're going to stay on that for just a minute because I got a story to tell you about that. A while back, it's been several years ago, I was at Duke Hospital with a family member that was extremely ill, and it dealt with the heart. Extremely ill. Extremely ill. There was so much going on with this family member and the heart, and I was right there every day, and I saw the doctors do some amazing things with the heart to try to keep this loved one alive. And my sister lives in Texas. And you will see a book when you go out there called The Adventures of Sib and Bib. Life is like a Tootsie Roll lollipop, The Adventures of Sib and Bib. And those were our nicknames. I was Bib, and she was Sib. Bib and Sib. Now, even though our nicknames rhyme, we are completely different. How two girls can grow up in the same house and come out so differently, only God can answer that question.